Welcome back to the Enchanted Wood, where we explore the myths, magic and traditions of the world's most enchanting trees. In today's episode, we turn our attention to the hazel tree, a tree revered for centuries as a source of wisdom, inspiration and divination. From Celtic mythology to European folk customs, the hazel is more than just a tree. It is a living vessel of knowledge, bridging the worlds of nature, spirit, and human imagination. The hazel, Corylus avellana, is a small, spreading tree, native to much of Europe and parts of Asia. Known for its rounded leaves, yellow catkins, and clusters of hazelnuts, it thrives in woodlands and hedgerows, often marking boundaries. It's a tree of both utility and symbolism. The nuts are highly nutritious, a vital food source for both humans and wildlife. Its flexible wood was prized for weaving fences, making baskets, wattle walls, and even charcoal, and its shoots provided rods for divining water and witching sticks. The hazel was never just practical. It has always carried a sense of the sacred. In the Celtic world, the hazel was considered the tree of wisdom and inspiration. Its nuts were said to contain imbrued droplets of knowledge. To eat a hazelnut was to partake of divine inspiration, what the Irish called imbas forosnai, the fire of poetic vision. The hazel's symbolic associations include that of wisdom and knowledge, and is used as a source of inspiration for poets and seers. Divination. Hazel rods were used for finding hidden waters or treasures. It also has links to boundaries and liminality, with its links to hedgerows. Often it is planted at borders between worlds, and it had otherworld connection. Its nuts were food for sacred salmon, guardians of hidden knowledge. In Norse tradition, hazel carried associations with authority and justice. It was said that stakes of hazel marked sacred or legal ground, protecting assemblies and binding oaths. In the Celtic tree alphabet, the ogam, the hazel, is col, associated with creativity, insight and higher learning. Druids and bards sought hazel's wisdom by meditating near the tree or through visions induced by its nuts, and hazel rods were used as magical staves, tools of divination and instruments of justice. Hazel wood was the preferred choice for dowsing rods used by water diviners across Europe. It was believed the living spirit of the hazel could sense underground currents and hidden veins. In witchcraft traditions, hazel wands were prized for their balanced energy, neither too fiery nor too passive, making them excellent for spells of inspiration, love and divination. In parts of Britain, hazelnuts were used in love divination games. A girl might place 2 hazelnuts by the fire, naming them after herself and her lover. If they burned quietly together, the love was true, but if they popped apart, it was doomed, and hazel branches were placed above doorways for protection or woven into charms against evil spirits. One of the most famous tales involving hazel is the Irish legend of the Salmon of Knowledge. In the other world, 9 hazel trees grew around the sacred well of wisdom, also called the Well of Sagais. As the nuts dropped into the water, they were eaten by the salmon, who absorbed all the world's knowledge. Whoever ate the salmon would gain wisdom. The young hero, Fionn mac Cumhail, was tasked with cooking the salmon for his master. While roasting it, he burned his thumb, sucked it instinctively, and instantly gained the salmon's wisdom. From then on, whenever Fionn placed his thumb in his mouth, he could call upon this knowledge. This myth cements the hazel as the tree of poetic and prophetic inspiration. In Scottish traditions, hazelnuts were often linked to fairy power. Carrying a hazelnut was said to protect against fairy enchantments, while hazel rods could ward off malevolent spirits. In Norse lore, hazel rods were sometimes used to mark out sacred space in legal assemblies, a Norse practice connected to the idea of natural justice. In some sagas, hazel poles were cast into the sea to decide where to settle new land, a symbolic trust in the tree's guiding wisdom. In Northern Europe, hazel grew in abundance along the edges of fields and rivers, and its use became deeply woven into the seasonal and spiritual cycles. At harvest, hazelnuts gathered in autumn were symbols of plenty, luck, and good fortune. It was used for protection. Hazel was planted along borders, marking thresholds and keeping away malign forces. It was also used in visionary practice. Shamans, poets, and seers were believed to eat hazelnuts to enter trance states and receive messages from the other world. So the next nut bar you eat, stop and think about the hazelnut you're enjoying. That thought you have after could be a message worth paying attention to. A tree of knowledge, a rod of justice, a nut of love. In Ireland, to be called a nut from the hazel of wisdom was the highest poetic compliment. And an Old English love rhyme declared, "If you love me true, break a hazelnut in two. Share it with me, and I'll share my heart with you." The hazel tree stands at the crossroads of magic, myth, and everyday life. It is the bearer of wisdom, the diviner's ally, the lover's charm, and the poet's inspiration. To sit beneath a hazel is to invite flashes of insight. To eat its fruit is to taste the seeds of vision. And to walk with its rod is to let the hidden streams of the world guide your steps. So next time you pass a hazel hedge, remember, you are brushing against one of the most sacred keepers of knowledge in European folklore, a tree whose nuts still whisper the secrets of the other world. Thank you for joining me for this journey into the lore of the hazel. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more tales of myth and magic from the world's sacred trees. And until next time, stay safe and stay enchanted.